remember my primary school teacher asking the whole class of clueless 7-year-olds, what do you want to be when you grow up? The truth was, I didn't know. Sometime later, I drew a girl in a suit with the words CEO, and I chose her because it meant that my fate wasn't sealed, and I could still have the flexibility to do whatever I wanted. Moreover, it seemed like a pretty nice job where one could get paid loads of money at that point in time. As a kid, I loved to create things from scratch. One such instance being finding things around the house to modify my doll pram into a trolley cart baby pram, which I would push around the house for groceries shopping. When I participated in my primary school robotics competition, I was thrilled to learn that they had a business segment where our team had to raise funds. I discovered that I really enjoyed selling our little gifts to everyone at the competition to help raise funds for our project. Little did I know that there was a term that society had for all these things that I love doing, and that was entrepreneurship. And boy, did entrepreneurship change the way that I saw the world as a teenager, of course. But I didn't really fully understand what entrepreneurship entailed and how I could become good at it. It wasn't until I joined a bootcamp in 2019, hoping to learn more about business strategies and entrepreneurship outside of school. I was hoping to meet teenagers who had a shared vision and were keen to form a team. Unfortunately, there weren't any who were keen to join me. My idea was to build a platform for students in Singapore to source for learning opportunities outside of school easily, so that they could optimize their learnings instead of spending a lot of time scouring through the internet. I really thought that it would work, but not everyone thought so. A bootcamp mentor whom I met at the event, who came from a college consulting company, asked me a list of pointed questions. Isn't your business plan the same as my company's? Can't you use Google to look for opportunities? What's the big deal? And who would pay for your product? And have you considered the regulatory implications? I didn't have the answer to most of those questions. And even if I did, I couldn't speak with confidence that my idea would work. Because after all, it was still an idea on paper. And until I had tried launching it as a startup, I wouldn't know. After interviewing even more teenagers at the bootcamp, whom I thought would be a fan of my product, it became obvious that she wasn't the only one who didn't understand my idea. Though there were a few diehard fans, doubt started to creep in. I was very new to product positioning and pricing strategies that were being taught. As a one-person team, I felt intimidated by the amount of work to do and information to absorb in a short span of time. I had to put this idea on the shelf. But in order to participate in a startup competition organized by the bootcamp in collaboration with Peking University 3 months later, I had to form a new team with a few others to work on a new idea. And guess what it was? A sustainable bag. And this was where we met a new mentor who, with good intent, fielded a barrage of questions. Soon, we got lost in the details of the business operation, and I realized that I couldn't possibly know everything and do everything at that stage. Especially as 15-year-olds who had just embarked on the odyssey of entrepreneurship, with no prior background in business, we needed more help if we were to put the idea to work and scale. The idea of providing teenagers with a platform to look for job opportunities didn't last long on the shelf. I formed a team and participated in another startup competition, pitching the idea to potential investors. Even though we didn't win, my mentor then encouraged me to continue working on it because the judges were adults after all, who had completed their educational journeys already and who may not understand the rationale and the need for the product. Then Project Empower came along. I started this project with 2 of my classmates because we were passionate about helping and raising awareness about the plight of disadvantaged women and children in our society. I decided to do things a little differently this time. I wasn't going to be swayed by the limitations that others may present to me in the form of goodwill questions, whether out of curiosity or doubt. I also decided to leverage on my past experiences of learning how to position our project properly and engage with the audience. If there was one thing that I had gleaned from my past 2 projects, it was that we ought to question what our own limitations were of what a student nonprofit was capable of, and to do things uniquely in the way that we wanted to. Even though it was a nonprofit project, it nonetheless didn't stop me from being creative and for pushing for unconventional methods of reaching out to our beneficiaries and intriguing the girls whom we so wanted to inspire. We partnered with the Singapore Committee of UN Women and the Singapore Council of Women's Organization to showcase our project at our school's first ever homecoming event in 2019. We went on to raise funds for the disadvantaged women and children in our committee. And with the nonprofit called Sogyal Foundation, we jointly organized a series of career webinars for the teenage girls to close the diversity gap in entrepreneurship and investing. Sharing the recording of the webinar as a podcast to benefit even more girls. My entrepreneurial odyssey has made an impact in changing the way that I see the world and a positive difference in the lives of others. To sum up my sharing, we are more capable than we think we are. If you have an idea or vision, just start doing it. And don't forget to learn and adapt along the way. Before you commit to an idea, you may want to ask yourself a few key questions. Why people would want your product? Does it solve a problem in our daily lives? And are you thinking about the idea nonstop, despite the difficulty of making it work? The clearer you can get on your why, the clearer you will get on the how and what of starting a business, organization, or initiative. Starting a business or organization is easy, but sustaining it is the difficult part. I quote Simon Sinek's infinite games. An infinite game is one where the objective is not to win, but to keep playing and perpetuating the game. Amidst all the challenges, you ought not to be entrapped in the cycle of comparison with presently stronger players in the game and get demotivated, for nothing can be predictably permanent. Instead, you should just keep going at it, pivot if necessary, and get better. And without knowing it, one day you might just be ahead of the game. The gathering of the minds is important. Seek guidance from mentors and network with like-minded folks. It is important to maintain a golden mean between being open to the ideas and inputs of others, as well as having enough self-belief to stick to your vision despite alternative viewpoints that may be given. And entrepreneurship can be for social good and not just for capitalistic gains. Entrepreneurship doesn't have to be about building the next unicorn. It can also be about working towards our UN Sustainable Development Goals and improving the lives of the disadvantaged in our society. So after going through all these wonderful experiences, I learned that I had an entrepreneurial spirit in me. And regardless of what profession I eventually step into, the entrepreneurial mindset that had developed in me will continue to live on. The good news is, you don't have to be an entrepreneur to reap the benefits of an entrepreneurial mindset and the positive impacts that it can make on your life. So what are the key tenets of an entrepreneurial mindset? Firstly, leadership and self-empowerment, taking ownership of your own circumstances and making the best out of the options that life has given you. Alternatively, you could even increase your own options through your own resourcefulness. Second, resilience, taking rejections in your stride. Rejections, especially from the things that you love and are passionate about, is always going to be a difficult pill to swallow. But don't let rejections change your perceptions of yourself and your potential and instead keep playing the infinite game. Number 3, independence and confidence in decision making. You learn to follow your gut rather than listening to others' perspectives too much, because not everyone's views matter anyway, and not everyone will understand your perspective either. Number 4, adaptability, where we evolve from pessimists to optimists to opportunists, which means that we not only see the benefits to every downside, but also evolve that optimism into something actionable that can benefit the rest of the world. And number 5, thinking big. Instead of believing why it won't work, think, how can I make it work? Because by taking the focus off assumptions or preconceived notions of the challenges that might stand in your way, you realize that life really is brighter than it seems, and that the possibilities of what could be are endless. To me, entrepreneurship serves as an emotional catharsis for the issues that one may face in life. Keep creating and keep dreaming, and we can all be the change that we wish to see in this world. Thank you.